I chair the Committee on Government and Ethics and your co-chair on the steering committee.
Day. My name is Robin Lynn Sanchez. I'm a senior at Teason High School. I am the chair of the Environment, Energy, and Natural Resources Committee, as well as a recorder for the steering committee.
Day, everyone. My name is Peter Lopez. I am a senior at John F. Kennedy High School. I am a committee chair for the Education Committee and your recorder for the steering committee. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jaden Bloss. I'm from George Washington High School and I'm also a senior, and the committee I'm representing is Labor and Economy, and I'm also the timekeeper here. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Kaylin Gephardt. I go to John F. Kennedy High School. I am the chair for the Health Committee and I will be your timekeeper for the steering committee.
Now let's please allow for our panelists to briefly introduce themselves as well.
Good day, everyone. My name is Senator Will Parkinson. I am a member of the 38th Guam Legislature.
Good day, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Vice Speaker Tony Ada in the 38th Guam Legislature.
Good afternoon. I'm Senator Justin Lujan. I'm the Majority Leader of the 38th Guam Legislature.
Good afternoon. Day, buenas, everyone. My name is Senator Shelley Galvo, Majority Whip of the 38th Guam Legislature.
Buenas, buenas, Birigueras, Viva Betnes, Guam si Senator Chris Alfonso Barnett, and it's Bill Swansky for inviting me back this year. Thank
you. Starting off, I would also like to thank everyone in attendance. For instance, our guests who have come to listen to our proposals, teachers and advisors who come to support their students, island administrators, and every student sitting in this room for attendance. The organization of Close Up has allowed for me, as well as many others today, to branch out, gain knowledge of our current circumstances on Guam, and grow into curious and ambitious individuals that we are in the present. A quick summary of how this program came to be is by first gathering public high school students involved in Close Up island-wide. This includes George Washington, Teason, Okudu, John F. Kennedy, Southern, and Simon Sanchez. For the past 3 days, students have chosen out of 6 committees to research, brainstorm, and present proposals that they believe would bring positive outcomes to our island. Each subcommittee had 5 minutes to advocate for their proposals and 10 minutes to respond to concerns and discussions in favor or against their statements. After discussion periods, students then voted to either pass or reject a proposal for possible inclusion into our youth agenda. Panelists may agree or disagree with proposals, but it would be best to take them seriously. The order of committees that are here to present today will be as followed: Education, Environment, Energy, and Natural Resources, Government and Ethics, Health, Labor and the Economy, and lastly, Public Services and Infrastructure. Next to discuss is the rules of timing. Each committee will have 3 minutes to present their proposals. The panel will then have 10 minutes to either ask questions, provide feedback, and recommendations. Timekeepers will end in keeping discussions going punctually and efficiently. We will now start with the Committee of Environment, Energy, and Natural Resources regarding renewable energy.
Good afternoon, my name is Elizabeth Schwen and I'm from Southern High School.
Hi, I'm Lanisha Espinosa and I'm from Okudu High School.
Good afternoon, I'm Katrina Banis and I'm from Southern High School.
Hello, my name is Rio Sarafico, and I'm from John F. Kennedy High School.
Hi, my name is Connor Conos, and I am from Simon Sanchez High School. And today we are going over the subcommittee Renewable Energy. Guam's electricity relies heavily on fossil fuels, with around 94% generated from petroleum, producing significant CO2 emissions that contribute to climate change and environmental harm. The transition to renewable energy has been slow due to limited land, high costs, and logistical challenges from Guam's remote location. Expanding clean energy is crucial to protect the environment while supporting economic stability and gaining public support.
We propose that the legislature of Guam implements the ocean thermal energy conversion OTEC plant similar to the ones in Hawaii and Puerto Rico, which is another source of renewable energy that generates power using water temperature in order to implement this technology.
First, we need to partner with international research institutions and energy developers to design and construct the facility. Then we can find a possible location in Jigo or in the southern portion of Guam that will be suitable for its development. Then we develop a design for the OTEC plant and components for the facilities and construct the facilities once designs are completed. Then we can perform a testing period to examine how the power plant will work and conduct a study to determine its effectiveness in producing energy on Guam. Ensure the project meets environmental requirements. We call upon the legislature of Guam to implement an ocean thermal energy conversion plan.
This solution is the best, as Guam already does not have a lot of available land to support infrastructure for renewable energy. However, as an island surrounded by water, we have the opportunity to expand renewable energy with the ocean around us. Ocean thermal energy would efficiently make use of the available water resources surrounding the island. To further explain, ocean thermal energy conversion is continuous, while solar energy is intermittent. If a natural disaster were to occur on Guam, we cannot just rely on the destroyed solar panels.
OTEC technology has already been proven to be successful in Hawaii, which has been using it to produce energy for the past 20 years. A survey conducted by the University of Guam earlier this year shows that most respondents said they would support ocean renewable energy, and most believe that its development is a worthwhile investment. David Grasosmo, an aquaculture extension specialist who studied Guam's current status and compared it to Hawaii's OTEC plant, stated on the phone that if thermal energy is done correctly with the right equipment and drilling, no major harm will be done to the marine environment. Using ocean thermal technology, we could provide energy to Guam in a way that promotes a better environmental future for our island, allow ourselves to be self-sufficient, and lessen our dependence on the use of imported fossil fuels.
Yes, hi. Thank you. Your presentation was great. As the chair for all utilities in Guam, I like the presentation. As a matter of fact, GPA has been looking into OTEC as a source of providing energy. Let me ask you this. Have you considered the cost of OTEC based on, and I understand the argument in regards to fossil fuel, the reliance on that. We have plenty, especially now that the U.S. is starting to drill even more, in regards to fossil fuel. But the one hindrance of the OTEC is that the cost to construct and maintain. And again, noted that our population of 160, basically, so the cost has to be incurred by the ratepayers. So if you put that cost in, like even the power plants that we have right now, that's why they're offset by the solar plants as well. The cost of not only converting to more renewable energy, but the cost factor as well with that. So again, it's worked in, of course, in Hawaii. Remember, they got a bigger population, okay? So they can spread that out amongst the residents even more than we can. So that is the one thing. Is it a source that we can provide in the future? I think it's a very viable source, alongside maybe even nuclear. But that as well is going to be a very costly endeavor to undertake.
Thank you. My name is Senator Will Parkinson. Hello. My name is Senator Will Parkinson. I was the Oversight Chair for Utilities in the previous legislature. And I'd like to echo a lot of the comments of my colleague, Senator Lujan, regarding the cost of the project and also other factors that you need to consider. One of the big factors that we consider when we think about any new power project is the cost per kilowatt hour. You know, whether we implement a deal with power companies that create solar panels or OTEC plants, the main question is going to be the same as what are we receiving in terms of cost, in terms of power per kilowatt hour? Because that is the main consideration that we have to balance against how much it will cost to build the facility. Because in the interim, while that is not producing any power, while we are still building it on the timeline of potentially 10 to 15 years, the people of Guam have to carry an increased burden on their power bills until it gets built. So it's not just the nuts and bolts of how to get this through. You also need to consider the context of the world that you're in. Is this something that people can afford to put on themselves while the project is being built? And what is the point that this project begins to pay for itself in terms of cost savings to the people of Guam? So I love the presentation, and I think that you have a real potential to drive this idea further if you can answer some of those questions.
I'm Vice Speaker Tony Ada. I like the presentation. I think perhaps what could be done is a feasibility study as to how much are we looking at in the cost factors, like Senator Lujan and Senator Parkinson says, that it will cost the people of Guam per kilowatt hour, and versus how much the structure will actually cost to build. Is it more feasible to build an OPEC structure than it is a power plant or solar farm? So those are the things that we need to take into consideration. However, a piece of legislation can be done to say, let's conduct a feasibility study in determining these factors so that once they're completed, then we'll know some type of cost that will be associated with it.
Have a day again. This is Senator Shelley Calvo. And I just wanted to commend you guys because I wanted to point out that as young adults, you guys are already mindful and aware of what's going on in our island. So that's really great. You know that you guys are aware with this proposal. You know that we need to solve our situation with regards to power capability of provision and also the costing. Now, costing, as what previous senators are saying, are always the most vital component of building a structure. So it's also good that you guys are aware of the technologies that are out there, and we need to be mindful of certain things like we're in an island, weather condition, how we're gonna pack, you know, infrastructures in case it's just, let's say, built in water. We have to consider that we are always in the eye of typhoon. So things like that, not just the costing. But it's good that you guys are already in research of new technologies because we live in evolving times. And from here, we can probably, like what the Vice Speaker mentioned, feasibility study would be the common way to begin things, and this is worth exploring. And so, thank you.
Well, I just want to say, being a public school, and I support this. You know, a lot of the options that we're looking at, whether it's solar or nuclear, we're even talking about nuclear power now in Guam. I think we're looking past some of the options that might work, like OTEC technology. When we look at solar, it kind of seems like that's the path we're locked in on, but if you look at the implementation of it, it hasn't led to the savings that we've been told it would lead to. And what's happening now is we're, as a legislature, going into these kind of like hodgepodge things where we just passed a bill that was signed into law, turning a golf course into a solar farm, and when that typhoon comes, that's just going to blow all that stuff all over Dennyville. So I encourage you guys' ingenuity in pursuing this technology, and I encourage you to do it more, because these are conversations that we're not having at the adult leadership table, so to speak. So Sito Swasi for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce members from the Government and Ethics Committee to introduce the proposal regarding criminal investigations.
Good afternoon, my name is Chase Bautista. I am a junior from Southern High School.
I'm Ava Perez, and I'm a freshman at Season High School.
I'm Tia Jackson, I go to Season High School and I'm a senior.
I'm Derek Grace Olivo, and I'm a junior from Southern High School.
My name is Kai Gutierrez, and I'm a sophomore at Recruiter High School.
This is our proposal on government and ethics, specifically crime and investigations.
Our issue mainly revolves around the transparency and urgency in crime investigations. The root of this issue is the lack of resources, outdated investigative tools, and insufficient staffing. Recent reports show that the Guam Police Department has approximately 103 unsolved cases, 81 of which are classified as homicides requiring forensic study. Addressing this resource gap is essential to restoring public trust, strengthening investigations, and upholding the government's duty to deliver justice.
We propose that the territory of Guam create the Cold Case Justice Fund of Guam, modeled after successful programs in the U.S. such as the Department of Justice's Cold Case Initiatives, as well as Ohio's Gold Unit. We want to establish this fund through legislative appropriation and a dedicated revenue source, providing stable, long-term funding for cold case operations. This fund will focus on three main points: forensic education, which would strengthen UOG and GCC programs, as well as their curriculums, professional partnerships, and internships, as well as the implementation of basic high school courses. Next, we have specialized training where we would provide workshop in genetic genealogy, advanced interrogation, and cold case review. Finally, we have technological upgrades which would modernize the records management system to better access decades-old information and evidence, and specialized equipment for investigative purposes. We call upon the legislature of Guam to create the Cold Case Justice Fund of Guam to provide dedicated resources for investigative purposes and help bring closure to unresolved cases.
We strongly believe that the real definition of a cold case is not a failure of time, but a failure of capacity. This reframes the issue from historical failure to a current resource problem we can actually solve. Insufficient funding also directly harms our ability to secure justice, like understaffing, high court backlogs, and critical emotions leading to the dismissal of criminal charges just because we don't have enough support. And we are losing cases due to constraints, not evidences. And the dual investment for this project to ensure success is the technology and, of course, us, the people of Guam, and in a collaborative task force, and provide a set of eyes and ears needed to revisit leads and our new tool, the DNA, where we must immediately increase our forensic capacity and expertise to apply modern science to old evidences. And if we continue to stand idle, these hundreds of cases could turn to thousands, and I think all of us here would want a community where justice is served. Thank you so much.
This is a great idea, and I'm hoping that some of our colleagues in the 30th can introduce something like this. And you're right, it's not always a matter of time. There are cold cases that are as hot as just a few years ago. There was a murder in Mahila where a man was gunned down in his driveway early in the morning, and there's been no forward action on that case. And as I'm sure you know, there's also the case of Jaron Guerrero, which has become a very prominent cold case. I'm sure the funding source is something that we could figure out at the legislative level, but I commend you for finding a need, definitely identifying a need legislatively on our island, and I think that's to be recognized as something a very good accomplishment with this presentation. There are a lot of things that we are trying to do. There's a private organization called Friends of the Crime Lab that has a very similar goal, and that they raise funds to open the lab so that we have access to the technology that you guys are talking about. There's also partnerships that we've done with NCIS very recently that have been able to crack some very crucial cases. So I think this is a great idea in terms of public safety, and it's something that I would like to see passed at the 38th of Guam Legislature. Thank you for your hard work.
Hi again. As Senator Barnett mentioned, it's a great idea. We do have, this is great to implement in Guam, because we do have a lot of crimes that are happening and cold cases that are just gone, really cold, frozen. So what I can see here is if the legislature could appropriate, yes, that's good, but then again, we can also coordinate with other agencies to shoulder the burden, because it's really not just for forensics. This has a play with judicial, with GPD, with all sorts of department. So something like this can actually be a joint collaboration between agencies. But kudos to this proposal, and I'd like to commend you guys because for thinking outside the box. Thank you.
Thank you. You know how appropriate as we speak, actually, the forensic symposium is happening right now. It's happened. This is the third day, I think the third and last day of the forensic symposium is happening. And I like it. I think it's a great idea. The one thing that we have to look at is if we're looking at, of course, in regards to cases, cold cases, we also have to look at the justice system in general. Okay, we cannot just up and arm the Guam Police Department. We have to do that as well for the Attorney General's office, medical examiner's office, and also the courts. So we have to work as one. We have to strengthen their capacities as well, because you can have great police department, but then if you don't have the prosecutors as well, and we have a constant changing over of prosecutors, so we need stability. I know I think there's a bill right now for elected prosecutors at this point, and so that's something that to holistically look at law enforcement, not just as GPD, but also again with the Attorney General's office, the prosecutor's office, and of course the courts. But I like the idea. I think it'll work if we holistically approach this and come at it at a holistic approach again.
Excellent idea. Back in the 33rd Guam Legislature, I introduced a piece of legislation that became law that requires or that allows DNA sampling for those who are convicted. And I believe that this, as a partnering legislation, can actually speed up that process. I'm not sure if you all heard the news this morning about a cold case that was unsolved for over 40 plus years. And it took hundreds of thousands of hours of man work and then hundreds of thousands of dollars. But now with technology and information and DNA testing, they were able to solve the case in 63 days with only $240 some. So it just goes to show that forward thinking and knowing what we want to look at and how we want to do things, that putting these things into place could actually help solve some of our cases that are unsolved. Thank you.
I really appreciate this piece of legislation, these ideas you brought before us, because one of the first things to solving any problem is acknowledging the problem in the first place and identifying it. A lot of the talk about our crime fighting in this community talks about the crimes that are happening now in our community, but sometimes that could open up opportunities for other crimes, these cold cases, to fall through the cracks. So even just by introducing this legislation and bringing attention to it, we're doing a valuable service towards trying to solve these cold cases. And like any group project, no bill comes out perfect, but we always do our best to collaborate and get a functional version of the bill through the chamber. So as a starting point, I think this is a fantastic starting point and has really identified a problem that is underserved in the community. So thank you for bringing it up.
Now I'd like to introduce and their proposal regarding foster care.
Good afternoon, Senators and Legislature. My name is Andy Tabosnia from Tucson High School.
My name is Shalane Smith from Ukudo High School.
My name is Leah Fonselis from Ukudo High School.
My name is Debbie Britt from John F. Kennedy.
And my name is Jason Applan from Ukudo High School.
Okay, I'm over the subcommittee of foster care. The number of children in the custody of CPS is increasing rapidly. It's too fast for the number of qualified foster families. In 2020, there were 237 foster children in the system of Guam. As of October 2025, there are over 730 kids, or one in every 70 children on Guam. That is a 208% increase in the span of only 5 years. Despite the monumental increase, there are only fewer than 100 foster families.
Children in the system are unable to get the quality of care they need. Moreover, the need for the foster care is exponentially higher than a U.S. state. A big reason for this is the emotional stress and burnout that comes with being a foster parent, making it harder for local parents to continue after the foster care reunites with their biological parents.
We propose to adopt a policy where CPS allocates funds to a proposed budget for government-funded programs. This is to create a training program for foster families and those aspiring to prepare before fostering. This training will highlight the following: general overview of parent application and qualification process, readiness for child care and parenting, preparation for emotional trauma that comes with caring for children who have gone through severe neglect and abuse, awareness of support groups, resources, special programs, and programs for foster care. We call upon the legislatures of Guam to create a training program to assist foster families and parents.
This training will hope to encourage foster families to continue fostering and act as an outreach for possible families who want to foster. It will increase the amount of local families that choose to foster and inform them of the available help and support they can receive. This program won't be mandatory, but it will be highly recommended and open for anyone to join to get support and preparation for fostering. The issue is vital because it has to do with children's lives. Mostly everyone in here is a minor. Imagine yourself going through such severe levels of abuse. Wouldn't you want to get the help you deserve? Everyone in those shelters are people, and it is so important that we give them the same opportunity we have to grow and be a member of this community. That's where foster parents come in. For the children to get what they need, we need the parents to be emotionally stable and prepared, and in a state where they can care for a human life. This is why we really need the support and funds from CPS and the government.
We believe that this solution, compared to others, is the best because we strive to balance achievability with effectiveness. This training will be cost-effective and still have the potential to reach so many families on Guam. Though other solutions might have a bigger impact, this one has the best impact compared to its cost, time, and effort needed to achieve it. 90% of foster families are in the military. This program will support and encourage more local families to step up and become foster parents. Many foster parents struggle to find guidance, trauma-informed training, or encouragement when they need it most. Important classes and resources aren't always available on the island, and that can make families feel alone.
Thank you. Thank you. This is Senator Calvo again. Being the oversight of child welfare, I just recently passed legislation for a Foster Care Bill Act, and it protects both the foster parents and obviously the foster kids. Now, unfortunately, incidents or habits or things, safety issues in our environment lead to this situation. For instance, drug epidemic is one of the main concerns, while the rise of foster children is it keeps on going, and it's something that we should be alarmed of as a community. And I'm glad that you guys are all included this into your proposal, because this is one of the important issues we need to tackle, important problem, challenges that we are experiencing at the moment. The way I see it is we need more education and encouragement for foster families to take on foster kids, just so we can level up with that number. It's quite a big number if you really think about it per capita and considering the population that we have here in Guam. Now, I know that there are incentives for foster parenting that can aid them in caring for these kids. It would be something that maybe perhaps through legislation we can add some more, you know, to encourage, but even centers, we need to look into centers as well, resources, additional resources that we can actually provide for our community. I think these are discussions that, along with your proposal, need to be looked into. But I truly appreciate this legislation, and it's an incredible, timely legislation that I see everyone will be supporting. On that note, I'm going to pass the mic to my other colleagues, but congratulations, it's a good one. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you guys are on the perfect track into public education. And I think what the Department of Public Health and Social Services needs to do is to put more public education into fostering the pros and cons, the do's and don'ts, and also perhaps where the legislation can come in is increasing the stipends for foster families. And that way we can get more people to become foster families and encouraging them to say, hey, yes, absolutely, let me help in bringing children to a home environment versus just in the other facilities. So perhaps maybe more of the public education and training than legislation. And perhaps maybe the only legislation that this would need to create is increasing funding for the stipends and perhaps increase in benefits for the foster child that is in that family. But it's a great track on which way you guys are going.
Yeah, I have to echo the sentiments of the retiring speaker here. You know, foster families, they don't grow on trees. You can't just legislate foster families into creation. And so I believe that the path of going for education is a very prudent and smart path to go about it. Because a lot of the times, there's people out there in the community that care. They want to go out there and help. They have the spirit and the capacity to do so, but they just don't know how. And demystifying the process, showing them the X's and O's, what the qualification process is, what is necessary, what is expected of them, laying this out in easy to digest ways can go a very long way into encouraging more people to opening up their homes to being foster parents. So I highly encourage this approach, and I agree with the retiring speaker that, you know, maybe we can increase the stipends to help incentivize the behavior we can, because that is really what we're trying to do with your proposals here. Is we're trying to incentivize pro-social behavior in whatever ways we can. And so I definitely agree with this approach, and thank you for this proposal.
You know, as a member of Harvest Baptist Church and Harvest House, I see that you interviewed Michaela Ramirez. And I tell you, almost on a daily basis, Harvest House is inundated with calls regarding the need for foster parents. And I'm telling you, the foster parents from Harvest House have more than one foster child. And they're called in the middle of the night, early mornings, and all that. And I agree that funding, more funding. But most of all with this, I think that, you know, back to the previous topic that we had in regards to law enforcement, one of the major issues in regards to the need for foster parenting is because of the use of drugs here in our community. And a lot of families are inundated with the drugs, and kids have to be taken away, or the kids just being abandoned. So I think if we can solve that, I mean, I hope that one day we'll be without foster parents, and the kids will just stay at home with their parents. So I'm looking forward to that day. But until that time, we need to, again, work with law enforcement to make sure that, and I'm glad, because just a couple of days ago, I mean, the cost of ice has gone up. So that